Which knockoff game on Roblox is just better than the original? Let's start off with Grand Street. Now, Grand Street offers you the most bare-bones experience of GTA Online. This is the Walmart version of GTA. You can spawn cars to drive around, you can have shootouts with other players, and then just collect money to get better weapons. The best way to describe Grand Street really is just a sandbox for like chaotic fun. There's no story in the game, there's no missions, there's no real objective. I guess you can accept bounties to eliminate other players, and you can always just jack their rides once you get rid of them. But realistically, you're just eliminating players to get money to then buy more weapons, or you can actually spend real money on getting either the fancy cars, on getting the battle pass, which offers you nothing memorable, by the way. But Grand Street as a knockoff game really just falls under the bad copy category. Now let's talk about Fortnite, because Fortnite has a bunch of really bad copies on Roblox. It's really a struggle to sift through all the bad knockoff games that you find on Roblox, but the one that I found that was actually the most enjoyable was called Fortblocks, because most of the other Fortnite copies really just try to sell you the aesthetics of Fortnite. They try to sell you like the building and like the color palette with the weapons and shotguns and assault rifles, but really at the end of the day, you're just playing an endless, mindless, you know, team deathmatch. And even though Fortblocks does have a 30-player team deathmatch, and even though they're also working on a Save the World mode, which who really played that in the original Fortnite? I feel like no one actually played that. No, they actually have a fully functional, you know, Battle Royale mode, which is actually surprisingly fun, and you know, that says a lot for being a Roblox game. But Fortblocks itself, it's a pretty solid game for what it is. And the average player count on Fortblocks really is just not that bad at all, and that's why I'm gonna put Fortblocks on the good on its own category on the tier list. We can't talk about good knockoff games on Roblox without addressing Frontlines, because Frontline's gotta be like one of the most visually appealing games on Roblox. It doesn't even look like it was built on Roblox, it doesn't play like a Roblox game, it just really is a good Call of Duty multiplayer knockoff. I'm not a Roblox game developer, so I don't know how any of this works, but I can't imagine that putting a game as awesome looking as this into Roblox is any sort of easy. You have Team Deathmatch, you have King of the Hill, you have Dominion, you level up to unlock different weapons and attachments. The attachment system in this game is actually very complex. There's also microtransactions where you can actually just spend real money to get in-game money. You know, I guess if you just don't want to feel like grinding out specific weapons, I guess that makes sense, but that's the fun of it though. That's the fun of playing Frontlines. But it's very well made and it's very good on its own, so that's why we're putting it on the good on its own category on the tier list. Alright, let's take a break from the shooter games and let's talk about Only Up, because Only Up at this point has become one of the most copy-pasted games on Roblox. You know, it's all about sticking the name and capitalizing off the fact that it's just such a popular genre right now, but because of that, you end up finding so many terrible games out there. I'm not judging a specific Only Up game, I'm judging the entire genre as a whole on Roblox. But all the Only Up games on Roblox, it's like the complete opposite of what Frontlines is, because you look at them and you're like, okay, this really can't be that hard to make. I'm not a game developer like I mentioned, but it's really just sticking stuff into random positions and kind of just rolling with it as you go along. If I had to put the entire Only Up Roblox knockoff genre in a category on a tier list, then I would just put it in the just no. There's so many bad ones that the good ones just don't even stand out anymore. Right, now let's talk about our personal bias here, because this is my favorite game out of all the Roblox knockoffs I've played. This one's called Spellbound RPG, and this is what I consider a sleeper game, because the game that it's based off of, Wizard 101, people already consider it a bad game, even though it's technically fun because I play it on stream all the time. But people go into Spellbound RPG already thinking this is just going to be a bad copy of a game that's already bad. But the truth and the reality of the matter is that it's actually good. It's actually fun. Just the way the game's designed, right? The way the camera pans, the way the combat system works, the way the turn-based spell casting works. It's actually just a lot of fun. This is one of the very few games that actually had me going back to it even after I finished streaming it. Even though it rips off Wizard 101 almost directly with some of the sound effects and the card effects, and even like some of the spells themselves, the dungeon crawling aspects of Spellbound RPG are just different enough from the linear MMORPG style of Wizard 101. It's genuinely a fun game, and I've had people DM me going like, wow, you got me into playing Spellbound RPG, and I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool. I think Spellbound RPG is a very good game on its own. That's why we're putting it very highly on the tier list. Now we can talk about Encounters, because Encounters is a 3D platform fighter, very much so like Smash Bros, where you have to fight other opponents to get their percentages up, so that way you can knock them farther away and finally eliminate them. And even though the game looks like Divine Knockout, which is also a 3D platform fighter, the game released before Divine Knockout, so we can't really consider it a Divine Knockout knockoff. So Encounters, I would consider it to be heavily anime inspired, because even though you have a bunch of characters with very unique abilities, a lot of the crossover characters, I guess they're not really official crossovers, these are just blatant copy-paste, blatant rip-offs of official licensed characters. It's actually hilarious the way they try to like mask it and make it seem seem like, oh, we're not really copy pasting your characters, we're just heavily inspired by them. So you have to spend actual Robux to get the crate system, and that's how you unlock the anime characters, but you can also unlock a bunch of different skins. There's a lot of people actually enjoying it, but this is actually another one of those games that even though it's a bad copy and I went into it thinking I would hate it, I actually ended up going back to it a couple more times. So Encounters, even though it's a good game and it's fun to play, I still consider it a pretty bad copy. So I'm just gonna put it on the bad copy part of the tier list, to be honest. Alright, let's go over a couple of quick ones. Minecraft, just like with Fortnite, there's a million copies out there. None of them are really good. None of them really beat the actual experience in Minecraft. Craft Blocks, though, is the one that I found to be the most tolerable because it actually has different sprites. It's not just blatant asset theft. It feels like an older version of Minecraft, just a little bit more glitchy, but they do have some really cool looking weapons like scythes and epic swords and armor and all that stuff, and they really do try to sell you those on the Roblox store, and I honestly can't blame them because they actually look pretty badass. You know, imagine that sort of stuff in an actual Minecraft game. But something I hate about every single copy of Minecraft on Roblox is that none of them have the crafting recipes already laid out for you, right? It's just like old school Minecraft, and I never played old school Minecraft, so I don't know how to make a pickaxe, I don't know how to make armor. I kind of need the crafting recipes for me already laid out. But there are a bunch of popular Minecraft game modes on Roblox, like you have Bed Wars, you have Skyblock, you know, all those really fun Minecraft experiences, but Craft Blocks as an individual Minecraft experience, it really is just a bad copy. It really is. Another really bad copy on Roblox is Getting Over It. Now, this one's just the exact same name as Getting Over It, the game. The one with the pot and the hammer where you have to climb the hill. Down to like the maps, the mechanics, almost everything. It's like, it's trying to be as close to the original as possible instead of just trying to be its own thing. And in my opinion, there's two ways to take inspiration from a game, right? You take a popular mechanic and you use it into your own original creation, and that's actually kind of cool. Or you just blatantly rip off almost everything about the original game and try to like capitalize on the views. But there's actually a game on Roblox called Ball and Axe, which tries to be original. It takes the inspiration, it takes the gameplay mechanics from Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, and it has its own original map, but it's not really that good. And Getting Over It, the game on Roblox as itself, it's just bad. It's bad. And Crewmates really is just everything that Among Us is, except in 3D. Everything from the tasks to like the map locations to even how the characters look. They're really not shy about wanting to make the most obvious and blatant copy-paste of a game. But, you know, surprisingly, this is actually one of those few games that I'd say is actually better than Among Us. Even though Among Us does have VR now, and even though they've been adding new maps, there's something about playing Among Us in 3D, in a 3D setting, with this different point of view. It just makes it a lot more fun for me, honestly. Alright, so now let's talk about Rushpoint, which is one of the most solid knockoff games on Roblox, right? This is a hero-based tactical shooter, so it's a Valorant copy, but it's actually a very, very well-made Valorant copy. From the gameplay to the maps to the weapons, this is one of those games that has a bunch of crossover because you see a lot of Valorant players, maybe while they're being timed down in Valorant or while they're waiting in queue, they just get on Rushpoint and get a couple of games in. So the game feels very, very similar to the original, including on how the weapons are, and even though the heroes are kind of different and they have different abilities, it really is just Valorant. It's almost identical to it, but overall it's a very fun and very solid game. I've played it a couple of times, and it does have a loot box system so that we can get skins and actually pull super rare knives. But Rushpoint as a whole, let's put it on a good on its own category on the tier list because it really is just good on its own. So now Robot 64, this is the best example of a good knockoff game on Roblox. This is the way you do it right. We talked about how Getting Over It is just a blatant copy-paste. Robot 64 does everything right because they take inspiration from a pre-existing game, Super Mario 64, and they just make it into their own. That's the charm of it. That's the magic of it. You can tell it's heavily inspired by Super Mario 64, but it doesn't feel like they're copying Super Mario 64. It feels like the magic of Super Mario 64 is there, but in a completely different concept with different map layouts, and it still hits all those important points of nostalgia that you get to play as a little robot while trying to collect all the little ice cream cones. So this is one of the very few experiences on Roblox that you're going to want to play from start all the way to finish. And Robot 64 is going to be on the good on its own category, but like on the very top of it, right? This is a very well developed game and you're going to have a lot of fun playing it. And last but not least, we have Pokemon Brick Bronze. And in my case, it's actually Bronze Legends because the original Brick Bronze got shut down for copyright reasons, but the game was so good that people just keep uploading and re-uploading the game onto Roblox so that way people can keep playing it. You know what? I can't even be mad that it's a copy-paste because they actually tried to rip off the Pokemon formula almost one-to-one from how the story develops to how the battles work, but they actually give you a really well-made experience. So if you're a Pokemon fan and you like that classic formula of like the turn-based combat system, you're gonna have a lot of fun with this one. If you can find one of the Brick Bronze re-uploads, because there are a bunch of bad Pokemon copies on Roblox, but this one itself is the one that really stands out. It's the one that sticks out the most. And you can't really hate on the game for being a copy of Pokemon, because as a Pokemon enjoyer, I feel like a lot of them want to try different ways of enjoying the game through different stories, through unofficial releases and all that stuff. So Break Bronze really just gives you a really good experience, that whole charm of having to play Pokemon with a couple of ripped mechanics and assets here and there. But that's just the way it goes when you're playing unofficial Pokemon games. And like I mentioned, the game does feel good. Like, the magic of Pokemon is there, from the story and how it progresses, to how you level up your Pokemon, to evolve them, and to just get like the full Pokemon experience. And the best part is that it's on Roblox and it's free to play. So Pokemon Break Bronze, I'm just gonna put it under bad copy. It's not good enough to be a good solid thing on its own, but it's like not really like the worst thing that's out there either. But yeah, guys, this is the whole tier list. Comment to let me know what you think, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.